We're so excited to have our guest for today.
This is our dear friend and my mentor, David Daigle, who is now facilitating and educating people on their language and body language.
Welcome, Dave.
Thanks for coming, Dave. I met Dave through Mastery Systems and mentoring with Robert Tennyson Stevens, the founder of Mastery Systems and Conscious Language and Sacred Body Language Translations. And Dave, I remember seeing you on some of the community Zooms that Bob used to run, and you'd be sitting in your front yard sharing about your victories in your very challenging job, Cancel Clear, in the past, your very victorious job in being a firefighter. So I invite you to share what your background is and how you came to cross paths with Bob and his work.
Okay. So I've been a firefighter for 16 years now, and I still currently am a full-time firefighter. And firefighting used to be, in the past, my highest choice to be of service to people. It's a calling for me to be of service. And this was the best way for me to give my support to my people in my world. Through this journey, I've grown. Like you said, I ran into Bob and he became a mentor for me. I saw what he was doing with people, that he was actually on the prevention side of health and wellness, where for me in the fire service, 911 service is a reaction to choices. So we make many choices to get to a 911 phone call. And that is a reaction. So as 911 service is a reaction to choices. This work I do now, in addition to the firefighting, is preventative. Even in the fire service, prevention saves millions of lives. Reaction saves one life here and there. I'm only pulling one person out of a building, or on a medical call, it's one person. Whereas a sprinkler system, the prevention side of this, saves millions of lives. Emergency exits, outward swinging doors, these little shifts create profound changes. And from my mentor, I found that our language is the fastest way to upgrade or downgrade our experience. And the emotional components that come, or the information that we're given every time we're speaking, it is telling us what we have going on emotionally. And when you become a translator of this and you hear and see body language, you hear language patterns, you can know instantly what someone's feeling. And when you have them acknowledge how they feel, magic happens. So these suppressed emotions, to me, are the cause of all unease in our body. So when we can get to that origin of that suppressed emotion, things tend to leave our body. Our ease returns. So the opposite of dis-ease or unease is ease. So when we acknowledge how we feel and we say it out loud, because life and death is in our tongue, we bring ease back into our body. And when I have complete ease in my body, there's no room for unease.
So we can, Jody, we have permission to just speak as we speak and, don't try and make it sound too conchy, because I think that maybe a bit of facilitating might be fun in this.
As soon as we started recording,
just as an example,
I started doing the whole thing.
Before we get to that, Dave, what are you seeing in facilitating people now? How long have you been doing this?
So I learned about how I was programming myself from my first mentor, Brian Johnson. He was my original mentor, and he had a conversation in front of me with someone else. I started hearing these language patterns he was using that I'd never heard before. I was like, hey, you must teach me. What was that? And so in the first 60 seconds, 6 years ago, of talking to him and him going, oh, well, hey, you're saying this and you're saying this and it's creating this. And my whole body had a reaction. And I knew instantly that I was radically responsible for my experience program myself through my words. 6 years ago, I already had this bedside manner from being in the fire service, being in these life and death situations. I am able to be the rock of Gibraltar in stressful situations. It's a gift, something I'm honored to do still to this day, still be there for people that may be transitioning, from one dimension to the other. There's this calmness that was given to me being in these experiences over and over. And then to have this conscious language come to me. And now what I've termed the body language technique, I've put my little art form on this, and that we can all become translators. So just like you guys talked about, all these little movements, our language patterns, all of it is telling us information. And here's some conscious language. I choose to know if I'm answering your question.
You are.
Yeah. Okay.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there specific examples you could give us?
Oh, examples. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I got two examples. I'm going to give you something that was very real for me and my family. My daughter was grinding her teeth while she slept. And it was so loud that I could hear her from my bedroom, and it was waking me up at night. So 2 years of this, going to dentists and them saying it's not a big deal. And I'm going, well, you got to hear this kid. She's not going to have any teeth if she continues to grind her teeth like this. As divine intervention would have it, she was sleeping in my bed with me, 8 years old, and we had a bunch of company at the house, so she was sleeping in my bed. At 3 a.m., I heard her grinding her teeth. I was in the very beginning of my conscious language journey. I wake her up, and this is an 8-year-old. At 3 a.m., I said, hey, say this out loud. I choose to sleep peacefully and easily. So I had her say this 10 times. I choose to sleep peacefully and easily. And she does it. She's just going through the motions. She's half asleep. She goes back to sleep and does not grind her teeth one time.
Wow.
Not once. The next night, same thing. I hear her grinding her teeth, 3 a.m. I wake her up, have her say it. I choose to sleep peacefully and easily. Same thing, 10 times. She goes to sleep, doesn't grind her teeth. Then I get a little wiser. Like, well, now this is a part of our nightly ritual and prayers. I choose to sleep peacefully and easily is something that we have said to each other for the last, she's now 13. So 5 years, we say that every single night, and she no longer grinds her teeth. Hasn't grinded her teeth in years.
That's awesome.
Wow. I'm going to try that tonight.
I invite you. Notice when I say it right now, I am shifting, even saying it now. I choose to sleep peacefully and easily. We are much more powerful than we know.
Yes.
And it all starts, our creation starts through our words.
Yes.
That's our creator. I can go into scripture, which is not religion for me. It's a guide to my consciousness. Life and death is in my tongue. And when I decree something with passion and meaning and feeling, it is established instantly, because it says decree something and it is established. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. So to me, that is every time I am speaking, I am creating a upward trend in my vibration or a downward trend in my vibration. So I call that downward lowering frequency unconscious language. And conscious language is something I am aware of, and I am intention, cancel clear, see, intention. Now I am aware that my outcome for my language is to raise my vibration and frequency. And I know that's a fancy term for whatever. In other words, just feeling good now.
Yeah.
That's my highest choice, is feeling good now, because that is the most important thing. Now, that was one story. Here's one that is profound. So doing a TikTok live, I had a woman come onto my TikTok live, and I was talking about how processing emotions brings ease back into our body. When there's ease in our body, there's no room for unease. Well, on the comments, she says, I've got Schmollenschmancer, the clump of cells in her evacuation system. Yeah.
We're picking up what you're putting down. Yeah.
I said, hey, you can't say that on here, but we can have a conversation. We exchange information. That was 7 months ago. And through doing this emotional work, cleaning up all these things she was having trouble letting go of, because our body language is very literal. So these things that she was having, these emotions that she wasn't getting rid of or letting go, was showing up as a clump of cells in her letting go system.
Wow.
It's been 7 months. So since I started this work with her, I decided to just take her on, which number one, highest priority is taking care of your emotions. Your emotional well-being is the most important thing. Really, I can talk about nutrition on here and it gets the clicks and the views, but it's not the most important thing.
No.
Because when we have ease in our body, we don't go to McDonald's or the donut shop. We go to the juice bar. It's easier to make those healthy decisions when you feel ease in your body and you're not trying to cover up difficult emotions.
Yeah.
So 7 months of doing this regularly, we met once a week. And within 2 weeks of changing that, cleaning up those emotions. Now the emotional work was months. She started eliminating pieces of those clumps of cells.
Within 2 weeks?
Within 2 weeks. I'm going to give you a deeper perspective of that in just a moment. Just going to finish how she completely eliminated 100% of that clump of cells. It was 4 inches from her rectum, so she knew exactly when that thing left her body. In addition, when she eliminated that biggest piece, for 15 days straight, she eliminated parasites.
Wow. So without having to take a detox, without doing a detox, right? A physical detox.
That's part of the nutritional protocol now, but my outcome was to clean her blood up. The herbs that clean our blood up also bring a lot of oxygen into our bodies. Parasites don't like a lit environment, so lots of sunshine, lots of oxygen, and it becomes
uninhabitable
for them. And so they leave. For 15 days straight, it was a true infestation. I asked her if you had to count how many worms left. She said over 1,000.
Wow. She saw them leave?
I have pictures. Yeah, she sent me pictures every time it happened, you know.
Wow.
That's crazy.
To me, this is just the way my brain thinks is tumors are like kitty litter. And our body covers it up to eliminate the acids.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like protecting your body, right? Yes. It forms the toxins in a barrier so that it doesn't go into your bloodstream and kill you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's just my take on it. This is my experience, I'm telling you. And so just some perspective. It didn't start 2 weeks and then we're like, oh, we got this miracle in 2 weeks. Now things have happened. Some of us require learning gratitude. So our miracles take the amount of time that they take because we require learning our lesson. Because if you get your miracle instantly and you're not grateful for it, it's going to come right back.
Exactly. Yeah.
So for her, she got this diagnosis from a guy in a white lab coat that put a date on her
departure. Her departure, yeah.
And she never went back. And she said, I'm going to do this on my own. And I'm not recommending you do that. This stuff works whether you choose. It's our belief.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is our belief in what we are doing. Placebo is a very powerful thing. And so she went into fear. So getting this diagnosis from a guy in a white lab coat, she went right into fear. And the most important thing is how you feel right now. So if we're going to these places and getting this bad news, we are instantly shifting our vibration and frequency into a nosedive. This now is attracting lower frequency experiences, people, circumstances. Our body responds to all this in a negative way. So she went right into fear, bought thousands of dollars worth of supplements, and was doing all this fasting and green juicing, like all the things you hear that that are beneficial for the clumps of cells. And that was 7 months prior to her meeting me, then 7 months to now. So when she started cleaning up her emotions, she started to understand that she was doing all those things out of fear. I attempted to tell her this because there's times I want to shake people. Like,
Yeah.
hey, I have this information that can help you. They're like, no, I mean, I've had my uncle died from Schmancer recently, and he was awesome, lots of life left. But when I would mention this stuff, nah, man, I'm going to the doc, the guy in the white lab coat. So I wait for people to ask because then they let it land. We've been working together for 4 months on the emotional stuff. She finally asked me, she's like, Dave, what I'm doing is not working. I'm not getting any better. And I said, okay, let's tweak this. 2 weeks later, she started evacuating pieces of the clumps of cells.
That's wild.
Wow.
And this is her words. I realized why it wasn't working. It's because I was doing it out of fear. The things she was doing work for some people. It requires us buying in on it.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's even in scripture. Jesus was walking through a crowd and this woman grabs his garment and she gets healed. And she goes, oh my gosh, you healed me. And Jesus said, I didn't heal you. Your faith healed you. So it was her faith in him that got her desired outcome.
Yes.
So, now we can relate that to what we're experiencing here with Cajun Lady. That's her nickname.
She's cool. I like Cajun Lady.
Yeah. And we know, Dave, I follow your TikTok, and I love those posts you do where I think the last one I saw was like my last 3 weeks, and it just has one right after another of testimonies or outcomes of some of the people you've worked with, and it's astonishing, those results. Are you astonished constantly by the outcomes?
Amazed.
Yeah.
Still, every time. Sometimes doubt will creep in, like maybe this is the one where it's not going to work. I'll go back to my conscious language, cancel, clear. I recommit to loving me. I recommit to my highest choice. And it works every time. I've never had it not work.
Wow.
Never.
So you've never had a client not have some kind of success?
Correct. Even there were times where someone may get upset because we bring up an emotion and they hang up on me or they're mad at me. Every single time they call me a week later, month later, like, hey, I've been meaning to call you. All these things changed in my life. I can be put in any situation and have tools for these people, for anyone in any situation. It doesn't matter if it's a Barbie that got taken away when you were 5 years old, or if it was actual abuse, or if you're having ideation to unalive yourself. This stuff works every single time. And the awesome part is I have my own abuse story. I have my own PTSD of seeing death and destruction in the fire service. And it works. I can tell you from experience that it works instantly.
That's one of the things I love about our tools. Thanks, Bob. I'm not dissing on current structures where people go to unpack their emotions and their traumas and stuff. And it involves, sitting there and talking and crying a lot. What do you really get out of it other than feeling exhausted? Cancel, clear. But we get to find what's at the root of an issue without having to unpack all or reliving all this trauma and drama and all the pain of an emotional situation that we've experienced.
Yeah. So I've also been to psychiatrists and therapists for PTSD because I was in a house fire searching for victims. And on the way out, I fell through the second floor on the staircase. My leg got twisted up behind my head. I injured my knee. I was out of work for 4 months. They were like, you should go talk to our psychiatrist dedicated to EMS and PTSD. I'm like, man, I'm fine. And I had a friend that's like, just go. It's free. Wait, what's it going to hurt? So it was beneficial. I got tools from her. Well, they did what's called EMDR with me, which is a light therapy. They get some eye movement going on. And I found benefit from it. I did feel better doing that. I will tell you this, that after our conversation, this counselor, psychiatrist, whatever her label is, she said, I should be paying you. because
too
I
funny.
could see her squirming in her chair, so I was already kind of done with my part of it. And so we were just kind of talking about my life in general, and I see her squirming, like, what's going on? She's like, oh, my low back. I was like, left or right side.
We're facilitating her.
Yeah. So we got rid of her back pain in less than 2 minutes. And
Wow.
she goes, I should be paying you. This is crazy how my back pain's just gone. She got in a fight with her husband. Like that was, she hadn't processed her emotions. The lack of support is, our spine is our back and our support system. So if we're experiencing that in our outer world, that's where it shows up on our body.
Oh yeah.
Left side's feminine, right side's masculine. So
yeah. And I went to therapy for years, and it helped me a little bit, but then it was like you get stuck in the loop of just talking about your stories and not doing anything, and it wasn't helping after a while.
For me, the EMDR was helpful.
Yeah.
But I couldn't take that with me.
No, because that's a specific technique that's like actually rewiring your brain using eye movement, right?
Right.
Yeah, it was no
EMDR.
Yeah, it was. I had to go there and do that. I felt better after I did it, but it was not something I could take with me and just do alone. The body language technique, we can do this real time right now, and when you get really good at this, you can process your emotion in less than 60 seconds.
Yeah.
If you've got something weird going on, like a body signal or someone that's you don't like that's showing up into your experience, you can really check in with your body. And when you have all the information, you can clean this up in seconds. And I've never had it not work for myself, for my kids, for my wife, for Annie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think we need to do a couple of demos, Dave.
All right. So how can I support you? Cancel clear. I'm going to ask a different question. This is a fun one.
Okay, go.
Okay, so here's the fun part of this. Remember, no stories are required. We don't need to know any stories.
Exactly.
But I'll ask this question. You don't have to answer it with what happened. Answer it in a way because you're checking in with your body and you're noticing where you get signals. A signal could be itching. Okay, so we'll note that.
You don't even need to ask the question, Dave.
Right? Yeah, we'll note this. Was that your left or right hand?
That's right side, back of my head, under right. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so what don't you want to talk about?
Me?
Both, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, what don't you want to talk about?
I don't know.
So you don't have to answer it. Just check in with your body. Where does the tension, itching, heat, scratching?
Tightness in my throat.
Okay. And Jody, where you get signals?
Mine's in my back on the right side, mid back on the right side.
Okay, cool. Right side, mid back. And then we also had was that your right hand?
Right hand on the back, just right at the base of the skull on the right side.
Yeah. All right. So anything on our back is going to be about anger, about a lack of support. In our neck, this is about giving our authority away and survival. So feelings of survival. Mid back's going to be about support, specifically about support. Throat, which hand did you use, Annie?
My right hand.
So have you been holding back expression to a male figure?
Yes.
So see how our bodies are telling the truth. Jody, have you been giving your authority away about not being supported or feeling angry about not being supported by a masculine figure?
Yeah.
So every time this lines up perfectly with what we're feeling. Okay. So I'll do Annie first, and then Jody will go. Actually, you know what? The law of attraction is very real. Let's both do the decrees out loud and notice how we feel. We'll start with Annie's signal and just saying out loud, because we're going to acknowledge that sadness, sorrow, or grief is here. Mm-hmm. So which one of those three resonates the most with you? Sadness, sorrow, or grief?
Grief.
Okay. So I like to make this fun and goofy. So I say, yo, grief, I touch and I stay.
Yo, grief, I touch and I stay.
And I love my grief into my joy.
And I love my grief into my joy.
And I give myself permission to forgive person X.
And I give myself permission to forgive person X.
Names aren't required. All right. So, and have you been hard on yourself about holding back your expression?
Yes.
So say, oops.
Oops.
I recommit to loving me.
I recommit to loving me.
And I give myself permission to forgive myself.
And I give myself permission to forgive myself.
And I express myself with ease.
And I express myself with ease.
And I empower, this is next level stuff right here. I empower person X to feel my expression.
And I empower person X to feel my expression.
I empower person X to hear my expression.
I empower person X to hear my expression.
Yeah. I am person X's permanent victory.
I am person X's permanent victory.
And I forgive all that I have taken in.
And I forgive all that I have taken in.
Only love touches me.
Only love touches me.
Yeah. Okay. How you feeling right now?
I feel relaxed. I feel ease.
Yeah.
You look different.
Yeah. For me, that's confirmation that we processed that buried emotion.
Yeah.
And person X also gets this. They're completely different right now. There's no waiting.
Yes.
Okay.
I love it. Awesome.
Yeah. All right. Jody.
Thanks, Dave.
Do I have permission to read your body language?
Yes.
And do I have permission to see perfection?
Yes.
And do I have permission to help discover your greater mission in life?
Yes.
Okay. So, lack of support, anger, giving your authority away to a male figure. This resonates with you?
Oh, yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how angry have you been?
A lifetime? Let's see.
Or maybe in moments,
yeah.
Has there been any 10 out of 10?
No, probably 8 is probably my strongest. Yeah.
Okay. And so this was the first signal that came up. So I'm going to acknowledge this one first.
Okay.
And this was actually your right hand. All right. Yeah. So survival, about giving your authority away. So does survival resonate with you? Have you had feelings of survival?
Yeah, in my past, and it's just kind of followed me from my childhood.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And so this is a deeper question. Have you ever not wanted to be here on the planet?
Yes.
Okay. Many times this signal right here is what that's about. Okay. And it's not about active not wanting to be here. It means it came up at one point and we never acknowledged it.
Yeah.
So when's your first memory of not wanting to be here on the planet?
When I was a little girl, probably when I was about 5.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. See, when we can get to those first memories, we can heal all the repeating patterns instantly.
Yeah.
All right. So just say out loud, yo, death wish, you prick.
Yo, death wish, you prick.
And I love my death wish into my thriving life.
And I love my death wish into my thriving life.
Yeah. And out of these 3, which one resonates the most with person X? Anger, frustration, or resentment?
Anger.
So, yo, anger, I touch and I stay.
Yo, anger, I touch and I stay.
And I love my anger into my forgiveness.
And I love my anger into my forgiveness.
And I give myself permission to forgive person X.
I give myself permission to forgive person X.
And I give myself permission to forgive myself.
I give myself permission to forgive myself.
And I am a walking ball of forgiveness.
I am a walking ball of forgiveness. I love that.
And what do you call your creator?
God.
All right. So I restore my God's support.
I restore my God's support.
Yeah. I am divinely supported.
I am divinely supported.
And I empower person X to feel my support.
And I empower person X to feel my support.
And I am person X's permanent victory.
And I am person X's permanent victory.
There's a lot of P's in that statement. I am my own permanent victory.
I am my own permanent victory.
Yeah. Now, what's happening in your body?
It's like a ripple effect of kind of like ease, if you will.
Yeah.
Like tension just kind of melting a little bit.
And
especially
for me,
this top half of my body.
Yeah, that's confirmation for me that we're processing buried emotions.
Yeah.
Bringing it up to the surface. And have you ever touched a dog's nose? Like boop.
Yeah.
That's what we do. We bring it up and we just boop it.
Yeah.
Just boop. And
I love that.
Ease returns.
And now this part of my back is really acting up, that part. Like it's kind of going, hello, did you forget about that?
This motion here, right hand, this is about carrying a burden for person X. So just say, I love my burdens into my blessings.
I love my burdens into my blessings.
Yeah. And then, so notice this is some very detailed stuff. I choose to show y'all what's possible here. Every time she's speaking, looking up. This means you're unconscious to how you feel. So back stuff, anger is a secondary emotion. It's our ego going, all right, we're going to get angry. We're not getting sad again. We're not getting fearful again. We're going to get angry and fight. Survival, fight or flight. So now that we've cleaned up the anger, now we're ready to come home in the front of our body. And so I'm inviting you to say, I give myself permission to feel my feelings about person X, and it's okay.
I give myself permission to feel my feelings about person X, and it's okay.
All right. And where do you get signals on your body when you think about person X?
Right now, it's that right mid back.
Okay. So we still got some.
It's like doing this right now, like somebody's poking me back there almost. Like it's very strange. Yeah. Like it's connected. It's connected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is you still got some. So let's switch the emotion up.
Okay.
So maybe anger wasn't quite the word. Maybe it was resentment.
It could be
resentment. So think about resentment is resent anger, resentment. So say, yo, resentment, I touch and I stay.
Yo, resentment, I touch and I stay.
And I love my resentment into my forgiveness.
And I love my resentment into my forgiveness.
And I reclaim my authority.
And I reclaim my authority.
Yeah, I reclaim my will.
I reclaim my will.
Yeah, and what's happening with that signal?
In the beginning there was the top kind of head to here, and now the mid part is relaxing.
Awesome. Okay. So let's go back to the beginning. I give myself permission to feel my feelings, and it's okay.
I give myself permission to feel my feelings, and it's okay.
All right. And what is happening in your body now?
Relaxation.
Okay. Are you getting any signals on the front?
No.
Okay, cool. Then that means.
Wait a minute. Right here. Right here.
So have you held back your expression? Have you held back your expression to person X?
Yes.
So sadness. So same as Annie. Sadness, sorrow, or grief. Which one resonates the most?
Sadness.
Yo, sadness, you prick.
Yo, sadness, you prick.
And I love my sadness into my joy.
I love my sadness into my joy.
And I give myself permission to forgive person X.
I give myself permission to forgive person X.
Yeah. And I know I asked you this before, but I'm asking again. Have you been hard on yourself about not expressing yourself?
Yes. Yes.
So we'll use the second most powerful word in the English language and say, oops.
Oops.
That's it. So here's 1,000 more oops you can put in your pocket.
Oh, now I got a signal right here.
New thought patterns.
Oh.
New thought patterns is what that means.
Okay.
And because it's going, oh, I don't have to be hard on myself. Like that's an illusion.
Right.
And it actually creates a difficult experience in our world when we're hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
Because our inner world reflects our outer world.
Mm.
So when we're hard on ourselves, we're going to get people that are harder on us because now I'm going to go into some deeper teaching. New thought patterns about not being hard on yourself.
Yeah. And then
So our inner world reflects our outer world. When you really understand this, you can take radical responsibility for your experience and create some magic. I am enjoying and enthusiasm most of the time because I know I'm responsible for everything that shows up.
Right.
I have my moments, and like when I have an argument with my wife or whatever, I know it's time for me to check in. Yeah, so I choose to know where we were at. So see, I'm remembering.
So it was here with that thing here.
And it was a 2 scratch, right? Annie, did you count?
It's 2 scratch.
Yeah. So I choose to make my expression fun and easy.
I choose to make my expression fun and easy.
My expression is fun and easy.
My expression is fun and easy.
Did you notice that shift? There was a big shift on that one.
Well, and a big exhale. Yeah, big exhale.
Very cool. All right. How you feeling?
I feel much better.
Yeah. So much better is vague, and our subconscious loves specific. So what does much better mean?
I feel relaxed, comfortable, at ease, hopeful. I don't know, that's probably not a feeling, but
yeah, whatever your heart says. I love speaking from the heart. First words that come up and just go with it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, welcome home, y'all.
Thanks, Dave. That's awesome. Yeah. It's really beautiful to see this in real time. And I experience this week to week, attending your lives, being on Zoom with Bob. And I felt like it was such a privilege to be witness to people landing in themselves. It was almost like witnessing a birth. It was like people touching things that they hadn't been conscious of for a long time just to cope. And so having these tools, like you say, we get to boop it and not have to pull up all the festering, uncomfortable and sit in the misery of things, but just to upgrade it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Re-traumatize yourself.
Dude, Jody's story was profoundly big. 5 years old, not wanting to be here. In the past, when something like that would come up for me, it would be like, oh, great. What do we do now? Now that it's up, let's go drink, smoke it away, drink it away, distract myself. Well, now I'm like, I know, oh, it's time for me to acknowledge something. You know, so if I'm getting that signal.
So powerful. Yeah. It is, because like you say, we get to be totally accountable for our experience. And it removes victimhood, like straight away. I don't feel victim to anything anymore. I see it as an opportunity. What do I get to learn? Yes. What do I get sped up?
Yes. And just like you, I saw what Bob was doing, and my hair was blown back. When I went and saw him in person, he's a genius. You know, he's now passed on. When he spoke, it was really fast, and it was really big words. I thought, because of what I was told when I was younger, that I was dumber than everyone else. And so I'm staring off into space in class like, oh, I'm just not getting it. He's talking too fast. I'm just slower than everyone else. That's what I was saying in my head. And he stopped the whole class, points at me, and he's like, why are you staring off into space? I'm giving you the secrets of the universe, and you're staring off into space. What's going on? Where are you? Like, well, I'm just slower than everyone else. And he lit into me and said, I will not have that limiting language here. I require you at the speed of love and light right now. I was going, what is he talking about? The speed of love and light. What is that? And he started coaching me like I was doing here. And he got me to say, I remember my genius. Instantly, I felt I drank 12 cups of coffee. And my brain was just, boom. The next thing you know, I'm answering every question in the class while he's speaking, and I'm catching every word. And I went, oh my gosh, it's that easy.
And he used so much humor. His humor was just.
We would be, you know, whether it was incest, murder, like all these things came up for all these people. but it was maybe the most I've ever laughed in my life, because laughter shatters the illusion.
Exactly. Yes.
It's one of the easiest ways to get air into the body. There's that example that I've heard you share about that lady in the tree, and you were trying to get her to breathe and she wasn't having it. And you tried to get her to laugh and she wasn't having that either. So I do have one question for you though. And it occurs to me because I intend to continue to facilitate people and to have their full agreement. So one of the questions that we ask, or rather the statement is, if you don't have someone give a full yes, like you asked Jodi's permission to facilitate her and to see her full perfection, what happens if you get a no? Do you facilitate that or do you step away?
In the past, I've pushed forward. Yeah. Because one of my gifts is to do things that are in alignment with my heart. And sometimes I can be a bull in a china shop. And I learned a valuable lesson this way, is that when I don't get a full yes and I get a yeah or sure, that's not a yes. And the connection to our hearts gets blocked. And in the past, I have facilitated anyway when someone gave me, well, sure.
Someone says sure, and you ask them, do I have permission to facilitate you? And they say sure. Do you go, was that a yes or no?
I tell them I require a full yes or a full no. And they will again tell me, well, sure. Like, no, I require a full yes or full no. And they'll go, yeah. And I'll go, okay, let's revisit this later. Now, in the past, I would have continued and taken that yeah as a yes. It still works even when you go through the motions. But my desired outcome is miracles. I expect miracles when I do this stuff. I expect people to feel lighter and relaxed. In the past, when I didn't get that full yes, this is what Bob used to say. When you ask somebody to marry you and they say, sure, that's not a yes.
That's not
so
a yes.
Flattered.
Or not, just not or nodding without words.
I will marry you.
Yeah.
That's still not a yes.
Yeah.
I'll ask, do I have permission to read your body language? You can read my body language. That's still not a yes. Scripture says to let your yays be your yay and your nays be your nay. That's a spiritual law. When someone gives me a yeah, a sure, absolutely. Well, absolutely yes or absolutely no. Well, when someone's doing that, I know right away they've been given their authority away. So I know my coaching is going to be about restoring their authority.
Yes.
So it's actually a great piece of information when someone doesn't give you that full yes. If they don't switch to that full yes, then I'll visit it later.
So there are a couple of other really amazing miracles that are burning in your back pocket that you want to share with us?
Let's see. I choose to know. I had a woman. It's funny that this is the same part of the body, her evacuation system. He came to me about a desire to quit smoking and stop biting her fingernails. I gave her a bunch of decrees about loving herself, reclaiming her authority. Fingernails are about authority. Challenge of smoking is about a death wish. So I did the same thing with Jodi's, like, acknowledge the death wish. When was the first one? And it was very simple. This was my first client, my very first one. 6 years ago. It's amazing. I still talk to her to this day. She's one of my biggest advocates because of this story. So
I love this.
So she calls me back a week later and she goes, I don't want to tell you this because it's embarrassing. I've had a problem with my butt for 10 years. I was like, okay, you got my attention. What's going on with your butt? She said, I bleed every time I go to the bathroom and I've been in severe pain for 10 years. It keeps me up at night. I've been to 20 different doctors who have not been able to diagnose what it is. I went to the 20th doctor and he offered surgery to remove muscle from my sphincter. As a joke and being serious, he said, you're a tight ass.
Oh, wow.
And so his solution was to remove muscle from her sphincter, which he said was very painful and a long recovery. I mean, you can imagine I would require not eating for a long time. Yeah. So she goes, but Dave, I used the language that you gave me and it was all about loving herself. She said, I just thought about my rear end and I just spoke about loving me. And she said the next day after our phone call, I was pain-free. First time in 10 years.
Wow.
Next day, pain-free again. Third day, pain-free again. On day 4, she said, my husband randomly asked me about it. How's your rear end doing? She goes, well, funny you asked. I'm not in any pain. Can you look at it? Because he had inspected it before. His report back to her is there's no scar tissue, no bleeding, and it looks like a normal butthole.
Wow.
Day 6 rolls around, still pain-free. She had a surgery scheduled for the next week. She called that doctor and canceled it.
Nice.
And then she called me telling me the story about how she was pain-free. So I said, okay, let's get to the root of this. What happened 10 years ago you were having trouble letting go of? And her daughter was addicted to painkillers and began stealing from her. And she kicked her out of the house. She had tremendous guilt and sadness from this. I said, when you think about 10 years ago and your daughter, where do you get tension in your body? Guess what she does? So wow. I said, sadness, sorrow, or grief. Sadness. And then she goes, I also feel guilty. It's like, okay. So I do what I did with y'all. I love my sadness into my joy. I love my guilt into my innocence. And it's now been 6 years and she doesn't even bring it up. Ease awesome. Has returned to her evacuation system.
Wow. By means of her loving herself.
That's what all this comes back to.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about love and loving yourself. Yeah.
There's one thing, Dave, that stood out to me so much. I used to bite my nails too from age of 3. I stopped when I was about 18 or 19. But something you said on one of the TikTok lives you did, they're so great. Love them. If go follow Dave on TikTok because his lives are awesome.
They're really good.
They are so good. And you were talking about, may have been the same lady, I choose to know. It's okay if it is or it isn't. But you were talking about addictive substances, drinking or whatever, and cravings and things. And you were sharing about how you'd facilitated someone who was having issues around that. And your response was, when they said, what do I need to do? And your response was, you're just going to have to love yourself that much more. That just blew my hair back. In that moment, I'm like, that's what this whole thing is about, is just loving ourselves to the point where we're making all the things okay. The things that we don't like, that aren't fun about this experience, but loving them, making them okay, then the ease and the joy returns.
And the root of all this, for most people, is our parents are the people who loved us the most. They gave us shelter, clothes, food, water, and love. Sometimes our parents' versions of love is not our highest choice. It's just not fun, and it was hard and challenging. Our subconscious picks up on this, that in order for us to have water, shelter, clothes, and food and love, we got to recreate this. Mm-hmm. So if we got sadness or grief or lack of support from our dad or our mom or both, it's going to show up in our relationships as a lack of support or sadness, to make sure our subconscious is making sure that we receive love, shelter, food, and water, because that's the way it was back then. So it will recreate this even though we don't want to. Yeah. Consciously, it's like, who wants to go through a divorce? But some of us have created a program that requires pain and chaos and sadness to feel love. That's why you see people with self-sabotage. Their subconscious is going, I know what happens in pain and chaos. I can handle what happens in pain and chaos. I don't know what happens if I love myself. So I'm going to stay safe in my pain and chaos. We get to go back in those memories, like Jody going back to 5 years old and just going boop. And the new choice is, I'm a walking ball of forgiveness.
Yeah. That's so good.
Yeah.
awesome,
It's
Dave.
super simple, you know. Maybe it's not easy, but it is simple.
Yeah.
And it's worth it. And it's transformative. And the ripples just keep coming.
Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, that's a really cool thing too, because with the emotions, we haven't talked about it, but the scale of emotions is one of my favorite things. It's like a compass. It's like knowing where you are on the scale, what's underneath it, what's pushing it up, and then, you know, to level yourself up that way. It gives really good context if you feel like you're struggling and you're floundering. You're like, no, it's all good. I've got this.
Yeah. When you really study the emotional scale of harmonics, you will see how our subconscious creates everything. I've facilitated people where I hear somebody cough in the background and I can count the number of coughs and know where they're at emotionally. I can count blinks. I can count stutters, and it all lines up every single time with what they're feeling emotionally. And that's what the emotional scale of harmonics does. It really allows you to see the green numbers, like in the Matrix. You start to see that, oh, I am creating this. They're creating their reality. These signals are coming nonstop. Since the day we were born, it's like, you know, I'll see somebody doing this right when they're talking about their dad. Like, oh, is it time for your dad to see you in a new way? And they're like, how did you know? I do have a few more miracles to share if we have, time.
Yeah, we do.
So Cajun lady, she had eliminated the clump of cells. When this was going on, her daughter sent a picture of her grandson. While we're in Florida in a separate state, hadn't talked to him, and she's healing these emotions from her mom. Her mom's passing was very difficult from kidney failure. So she had some resentment and grief that she was ignoring for 15 years. It turned into those signals. When she booped it, a lot of things happened. In addition to her cells, those parasites leaving, her daughter sent her a picture and she goes, look at my grandson, or look at your grandson. Her son was nonverbal autistic, hadn't ever spoke in his life, and had never looked his mom or his grandma in the eyes.
Wow.
She goes, Mom, look at this picture of my son. He just looked me in the eyes and said, I eat, I eat, I eat.
So it had a ripple effect of her family.
It's her picture, so I'm not going to show it on here. I'm just going to tell you that there was darkness around his eyes in a picture they had side by side 2 weeks before. And while we were in Florida at our retreat, she had that day where he said, I eat. And she's like, Mom, look at his eyes. In the whites of his eyes, light returned.
Wow.
When she got home, she called me as soon as this happened. She said, my little man just grabbed the back of my neck with his little hands and gave me a hug for the first time in his life.
Wow.
So, direct reflection.
Yes. Well, and because we're all one too. This is another thing.
Yeah, it's a ripple effect.
So, and it keeps going.
Yeah.
Her daughter was going to the doctor for cysts in her ovaries, and she went to the doctor and the cysts weren't there.
I love those stories. They're awesome.
And you didn't facilitate her. You just facilitated the mom. Yeah.
No, just mom.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Then she calls me and she's complaining about her husband, right? It's a few days later. And all these miracles are happening, right? Like, I'm like, where's the gratitude? Remember I talked about if you ain't got the gratitude, your miracles take longer.
Exactly.
So she's complaining about her husband getting drunk every day and not remembering conversations they were having. This has been going on for years. Every day, comes home from work, starts pounding the beer.
Wow.
Sometimes he wasn't very nice, you know, and so it was one of those nights he wasn't very nice. So she tells me, I'm doing all this healing and all these good things are happening. He's over here still getting drunk. And I said, okay, what in you is attracting this? And her response was, F you, Dave. Of course,
preaching to meddling.
Yeah, F you. But
yeah, that's right.
So resentment, This is connected to the liver. Alcohol affects the liver. So that's where we unconsciously go to when we have resentment.
Mm-hmm.
Or we attract people that are doing it. Because the
Exactly.
resentment in us, she had resentment about how her mom passed. She was pissed off at God, pissed off at the world, because her mom suffered tremendously from kidney failure. So she was having all this resentment. That mirror reflection was showing up to her as her husband. So we facilitated love the resentment into our forgiveness. And this was just recently on Christmas Day. So Christmas Eve, he told her, I'm going to quit drinking on New Year's without her saying a word to him.
After drinking for years and years and years, this
Without
is
her,
just what
she didn't say nothing to him about drinking. He says, I'm going to quit drinking on New Year's. On Christmas Day, he quit drinking. Didn't even wait for New Year's because he could not show up that way anymore.
No.
Because she changed on the inside. They drove up this weekend from Western Louisiana to Central Texas to come see me. We did body electronics this weekend, and her husband came. We had our first phone call like a week ago.
Wow.
And we did a facilitation. Dude, good old boy, super big country farm, salt of the earth kind of guy. And he came and did body electronics with us. It was amazing. It affects our entire world when we change.
That's so cool.
So cool.
So I want to just give people opportunity, Dave, to play with you, for want of a better word. Have you got any in-person events coming up anytime soon? I know you're currently doing a body language technique course. Yes. Can people join that any given time, or are you doing intakes of that?
Every 7 weeks, we're starting the course over.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Because I could do it where it's just videos, but I love interacting with y'all. In the beginning, I was just doing the course as Zoom calls, and it became too much for me. So I made half the course's videos for the first half of the week, and then on Sundays we meet for Zooms. We just had our Zoom earlier tonight, and that's the easiest way to play with me, other than one-on-one coaching.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, well, in that case, I will pull up your website. There it is.
Yeah.
bodylanguagetechnique.com.
Yeah, so the next class will be posted soon. So just be patient with me.
It looks pretty good to me, and I'm a techie, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so, there's that. And then I have a more intimate event, which is body electronics. I choose for this to be common knowledge, this ability to put our hands on each other and heal, emotionally speaking.
Yeah.
And which leads to other things. Intimacy is required. That event is coming in April, and I've got room for 18 people.
Wow.
That's
in Llano, Texas, so close to Austin. The airport you would fly in is Austin. It's about 60 miles from the airport. So I do this in several ways. I'll have this multiple times a year. In April, this is a wilderness retreat. So bunk style, we're staying in an RV, or if you like tent camping, you can do that too. We will be outside most of the time. To put these events on, it requires investment financially, and for me, financially for the person coming in. So I love having this wilderness option because I can do it for half the cost.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, wow.
And then in the fall, I have my luxury retreat where we have a big house, like a bed and breakfast, and all the things. So those will be on the website too. Those are coming in the next week or two. So it's all coming, and really just send me a message. Yeah. You can contact me through there. Send me an email and contact me through TikTok.
What's your username on TikTok?
Super Dave 102.
Super Dave 102 on TikTok.
Yeah.
Super Dave.
Go and follow Super Dave on TikTok.
Yeah. And the course is, if you choose, like, you can go in here just for self-mastery, mastering your own emotions. Every single time, this thing works so fast, you feel good. And then you go, okay, now what? I feel good. Right. So now what? Well, we go share it with our people in our world. And that's what that's what the course is about, is developing leaders that know how to level up and upgrade our world.
That's so
exactly.
Good. That's awesome.
Exactly.
Well, I thank you, Dave. Is there anything else you choose to share before we let you go?
Yes. Oh, man, I've had this one in the file for a while. So I was listening late night about 10 years ago in a rabbit hole on YouTube. And I was listening to this guy, and he claimed that he was a clairaudient, that he could see vibration. And I was super interested because he was just so intelligent, and the tone of voice is a big deal for me. He was a voice coach. And so he just had this voice where it was just captivating of how he was speaking. And so at the end of the interview, the interviewer says, "It's obvious you have this wisdom that we're all searching for."
Oh,
Thousands of people, maybe millions could.
Wait a second.
Wait, I got to back up.
Just to where, about the wisdom thing. So the interviewer asked,
so yeah, he had this tremendous wisdom in this interview, and like, man, he obviously knows some things that we're all looking for. So the interviewer says, "What do you want to say that potentially millions of people could watch this?" And he just sits there very patiently and says, "How do you feel?" And that's what he wanted us to know.
Wow.
How do you feel? How you feel is the key to this whole thing.
Yes.
How do you feel? Because it's not the $10 million or the fancy cars or the big houses. It's how you feel when you get it.
Right.
And if we bring our feelings of completion to now, we have our miracles.
Yes.
Yes. So good.
Landed.
Yes.
Well, as we say around the traps, welcome home.
Welcome home.
Awesome. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate you. Again, that link, go and check out his stuff. Go work with him. He does personal coaching as well. bodylanguagetechnique.com.
I can't wait to work with you, Dave.
You're awesome, mate.
Yes.
Thanks, Dave. If you choose, you can come back and tell us more stories at other parts, but I choose to be fully active in facilitating other people get their miracles now.
Yes.
And you will.